President, Giant Jacks Media. Really fired up for this episode of Giant TV. You got two incredible people on. I've got Daphne Bernicker, who's a Vistage chair doing amazing things, has her thumb on the pulse of hot issues for CEOs and businesses. Certainly AI is one of them. I've got Eric Langley on the show, who is a fractional innovation officer, has his own firm, and working with businesses across the country on AI and how they can use it. We had a lively discussion back and forth. You're going to love it. A lot of takeaways. Let's go jump in. Hi everybody, this is Paul Hitchcock, founder and president of Giant Jacks Media. Thanks for jumping on this episode of Giant TV. Really excited to have these two guests with me. I have Daphne Bernicker, who is a very successful Vistage chair. Welcome, Daphne.
Hi, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. And I have Eric Langley, who's a fractional innovation officer and has his thumb on the pulse of what's going on with AI for business owners. And obviously, this is a hot topic. We all know it. Everyone's talking about it. And as I like to say AI is here to stay. It's not going away. And so, Daphne, I want to start with you because you're doing some great things as a Vistage chair. And I want to, for our listeners here, just get into that a bit. What are you doing?
So thanks for that, Paul. I have several Vistage groups in Houston, and I'm also getting ready to start a Vistage group here in Denver. Primarily, my focus is on leaders of companies, so chief executives, presidents, founders, that sort of thing, in the Houston and Denver area. And what I'm finding, having been a Vistage chair for a couple of years now, is that the group is it's all about, we move at the speed of trust, and there's a tremendous amount of trust that people bring to the group, and that allows a great opportunity for really digging deep and focusing on our businesses and making those businesses better. And I could give you lots of stories about how people have made big strides in it. It is very exciting because for me at this point in my life, what I'm all about is helping people grow from success to significance, and looking for those really, wonderful, high integrity, high performing leaders who care about lifting other people up. So go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say, yeah. So are there particular industries you're focused on now, adding to your groups?
Being that I'm getting ready to start in Denver, I'm wide open in that respect. And in Houston as well, I find that in general, even if there's someone who's in an industry that's adjacent, or even the same thing, it is quite possible that there's a way that both can play together. For a long time, I had two people who seemed to be in the same industry together, and one just stayed in our group but switched industries, and it worked fine. And actually, they were great resources to each other. So there's not a sense of competition. If we can make sure there's no competition, it's wide open.
Yeah, and obviously you and I have talked offline. I understand what goes on with you and your Vistage process there, but I think it's amazing. Tell us a little bit about how you meet monthly. Everyone gets together, and Vistage talks about this. You got to be open, you got to share. That really does happen, and people start collaborating on their business.
Oh yeah, tremendously so. We meet once a month. My group in Houston meets from 8 in the morning, and probably both my groups in Houston meet at 8 in the morning. Probably we'll do something like that, 8 or 9. And it is it can be close to an all day commitment.
Yeah.
It is action packed. We get in, 8 times a year, we'll have a speaker, someone who is really a world-class expert, much like Eric, that we're going to have the opportunity to visit with in a minute.
Yeah.
And then whoever is the host, we'll do a really deep dive into their business, and we usually focus on several questions and do what Vistage calls an issue processing. Mm-hmm. So that's a way of really making sure that we engage everybody and get the best input, because and the way you get that really is by starting with questions first, as opposed to jumping in with solutions. So it's and in between, for the CEO groups, the founders, the leaders, I will meet with them for one-on-one coaching to help the progress. So it's all about being better at making decisions more quickly, holding yourself and other people accountable, being better at managing
Yeah.
growth, whether that's personal or professional, and also, frankly, isolation relief, and managing any change that's coming from either externally driven or you're driving within the company.
Yeah, fantastic. I want to tell everybody listening that follow Daphne, get connected with her. Her information is around this video, wherever you're watching this, because we live stream this everywhere. Maybe it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, but information's up here, down here. And Daphne, I know you're open to talking to people about your group, so great. And I know AI is a big topic with Vistage and you and your groups. And so this kind of gets us over to Eric. It's time for you to tell us what the heck is going on with AI in businesses.
Thank you, Paul. And yeah, Daphne, it sounds like your groups are awesome. I was just like kind of really almost stunned by the number of value propositions that there are from being a member. And really, I mean, people have heard this before, but like I wish I had that when I was running the bigger company. Now I'm a sole practitioner as a fractional innovation officer. But for a CEO or any top leader in an organization to have that peer group to look at, oh my gosh, like the value proposition is really great. So AI comes into that. When Daphne was talking about, what are the issues in the business? And that's kind of really, where I start. I've got these solutions and I'm looking for problems to solve, right, or as the case may be, opportunities to take advantage of. And a lot of those are hidden and they're unaware. Everybody's got their view of their business. And especially if you're very deep down into it, you're in the weeds every day, you don't see a lot of the problems or inefficiencies are taking place that AI could really make a difference in.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, Eric, so when it comes to AI, businesses, how do they even get started in AI or figure out what does AI do? What should it do for me? Like, how do you begin that discussion?
Yeah, I mean, AI, and if you look at what's happening in the world today, it's changing so fast. So you have to be a learner. And so you have to dedicate some time. I literally have block time in my calendar, focus time for just learning about AI. Of course, I'm in the business, right? That's my job to do that. But really, everybody's going to need to do that because you at least have to have some understanding of what's happening in order to make an intelligent decision. Like I can come in and do that for a company, but you really want to know for yourself, hey, this is the general lay of the land of what's happening in AI because it touches every area of business. There isn't a segment of a company that isn't going to be affected by AI going forward.
Yeah, and I've heard too that a good way to look at it for businesses, a good place to start is think about the processes that you do that you would want to automate, and just make a list of that. So talk about that. I mean, that approach.
Sure. So in my model in working, I have what's called 5 deltas or 6 deltas, depending on how you go about it. But in the beginning, you just discover and document what you have. So you start with processes. What are we doing here? A, B, C. Get all that down. Like you can't improve something if you don't know what it is. So we start with that discovery and documentation. Then you can do a diagnosis, which is the second step. And that kind of takes in where you want to be. So like, what do you want? What do you want to accomplish in your business? What's your vision? And then you've got what you are and what you want to be. And once you really establish that gap and that you really want to get there, it makes wanting to do AI and other initiatives way more important in your daily work in the business.
Yeah, well said. And I was going to ask you, Daphne, maybe if you highlight what are some of the industries that you're working with or you want to bring in, and I'd be curious, Eric, your comment on those industries and how how AI might apply to actually things they do with it.
Oh my goodness. So within my group, I've got construction, I've got law firms, I've got investment management, I've got uh, uh, medical devices. I've actually got a company that has some AI type generative work for utility companies. It's a very diverse group, and I can continue to add so many more in all walks. I'm curious though. I certainly I see my members moving in the direction. It has been extremely eye opening this year to have sort of Chat GPT appear for many of us. I know Paul knew all about it, but I think many of us were like living in a different space. And it looks it's changing the world. So I'm curious for you, Eric, what are some of the things that you're doing with these industries, or what are you
Yeah.
seeing happening? What's moving the
So,
needle?
yeah, we'll just pick construction for the moment, and you wouldn't think that construction would have a lot of opportunity for AI. It's a very hands-on thing. You've got janitors or painting or whatever. But in the processes that go on in a construction company, there's so much opportunity for streamlining and automating. And I'm just going to take a pet peeve of most construction people, and that is takeoffs from plans. And they are very time consuming. On even small projects, you can spend a day or two. And on bigger ones, you can spend weeks doing takeoffs with multiple people. So AI has the capability to ingest all of that information that is in the construction plans, and then put an output of usable information, like how much square feet do I have for concrete or painting or all these different areas. Now you have a document that you can chat with, and you can ask it questions. And that is that's just like one area, takeoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the power of that could literally save construction companies, hundreds of hours a year, but also increase the number of jobs they can bid on, because the constraint in construction is we have to do takeoffs. We can only do so many. And so the more takeoffs you can do and the more efficient you are at doing bids, the more opportunity you have for work, and you can expand your marketplace. You've got a huge competitive advantage if you're doing that versus somebody that isn't. And that's just one example.
It's a great example. Yeah. And I'm thinking you mentioned law firms too. And the law firm I'm associated with, there is an AI process there where, we've launched a new company. And so what has to happen is messaging has to go out. They respond, go to a site where there's a chat bot, right, where they can ask it questions. And it's not your grandfather's chat bot. These chat bots that Eric, are
Powerful.
insane today. Yeah, incredible. So, we fed it information. They're talking to a chat bot. Then they click on a link that goes to a form. They fill out a form. Then it generates a proposal. And if they hire us, it comes back. We had somebody, a human being or two, having to get in there and handle all that until automation. We figured it out with automation, came in, automated every step, every one of those steps. So for law firms, it was very cool to see how AI could handle something like that.
Yeah, that's an industry. Goldman Sachs did a really, really powerful and impactful report back in the summer. And they talk about all the industries that are going to be affected by AI as far as the way work is done and how much of that work is done. And administrative and legal were both over 40% of the work in those businesses is going to be automated in the next 2 to 3 years.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah.
a huge, huge number.
Huge.
And all the way down through the other industries, it ends up at the average is about 25% of work is going to be automatable. And that's going to free up a lot of people to do more important work. Like you talk about the going from success to significance, Daphne, it's much more significant to do work that's important than rote, mundane stuff that you just have to get this done in order to get to the part that's the meat. And
Yep.
that really opens up a lot of opportunity for just mega productivity improvement.
Yeah, and you highlight a great point. I don't think AI is about taking somebody's job away. It's about taking the tasks people hate to do anyways off their plate and have them refocus on stuff they really love doing. And so it even helps with employee retention, I think.
Yeah, the work is much easier. And from a training standpoint, and AI has just incredible opportunities in training. When you're competent and when you're better at what you do, your work is more enjoyable. And AI is really going to empower people to learn at their own pace with instant feedback that is aligned with the company's culture and values, because you teach the AI who the company is, and then it teaches the person how to be that, be that vibe, if you will.
Yeah.
And understand it. Really
Yep.
powerful.
Love it. Well, we could talk forever about AI. I'll go into a deep hole here. I love it. I want to tell people that that we've got a complimentary AI strategy session I want to mention that's offered by Daphne out of her practice in concert with Eric. And again, signing up for that will be around this. You'll get an opportunity to do that. But you sign up, it's awesome, no cost, but you get on there, meet the two of them, and there's a form to fill out, easy online. But get in there and we'll get Eric and Daphne will get into the weeds on your business and AI and issues there. High value offer. So thank you both, Daphne and Eric, for being here. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been great.
Thanks so much. Looking forward to meeting some new people with this offer and seeing what we can do to help.
Absolutely. All
Thank
right.
you both.
Thank you, Paul. That was great. And for the participants in the strategy session, you have three things that are really going to be actionable for you. You're going to have that ability to make better decisions with more knowledge, and really has some action steps that you can take right away, and a strategy roadmap to begin your journey.
Love it. Love it. All right. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
All right.